Since I've been negotiating real estate deals since 2004, I thought it would be a good idea to show you the framework of how we set all this stuff up to go in and acquire a great piece of real estate below market value. And today's video, I'm going to show you the exact framework that we use and how we set it up to transfer our beliefs over to the seller so we can agree to buy that piece of real estate. All right, let's get into it. Okay, class, it's Kris Haskins with therealestateroundup.com. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. A lot of times we have to zoom out in our business because we're so stuck in the minutia, the day-to-day operations, the back and forth. We're doing whatever you need to do, whether it's managing contractors, making offers, raising money, trying to find leads. All that stuff will drive you crazy. We got to zoom out so we can continue to grow. And that's why I just came back from Florida. I was in a high-level mastermind. I paid a ridiculous amount of money to sit in front of Ron LeGrand. I'll show you a picture. And for him to completely slaughter whatever was coming out of my mouth. If you don't know, Ron LeGrand is one of the godfathers of this real estate investing and training thing. So sometimes it's good to get out of our current environment and go in the room with people that are doing a lot better than you financially and just running businesses at a higher level. And I hopefully can bring some of that information back through me to you. So today I want to help us understand. A lot of people ask me, and I've been hearing this for years, how in the hell do you negotiate to negotiate a deal to get the seller to sell you the property below market value? And what I've learned is if we go in with the framework, when you know how this stuff works, then it's easier for you to deploy it. Not necessarily say that you'll be able to do it every time, because it ain't gonna work like that, as Dan Kennedy says. So the framework we use, you gotta remember this. I've been using this for decades, right? And I need us all to understand that this is how I have been doing it. And let me preface this by saying, y'all, if once you watch this, you think you're hearing some good stuff, I want you to know that I am a kitten. I am a pussycat when it comes to the master negotiators that have taught me this stuff. I'm telling you, Larry Luigi's of the world, this dude, I have been trained by some of the best negotiators on planet Earth. These dudes could talk the panties off of anybody. I'm here to tell you. So if you think I'm like if you think I'm good, I promise y'all, I am nothing when it comes in the world of negotiation. These dudes are masters, okay? So the framework we use is IP, AP, SP. You gotta remember that. Lock it in your head. Lock it in your head. And I didn't come up with this stuff. This stuff came directly from Dan Kennedy. If you don't know Dan Kennedy, get you some Dan Kennedy books. Just go to Amazon and download them. He's got a ton of them. I've got all of them. So when we're going to talk to a homeowner, the house is important, but the main thing we need to understand is what is going on with the seller. What's going on? Why are we here today? And the first part of this framework to get us to understand that is we have to identify, did I spell that right? Identify what issues and identify the problem that brings us here today. You got to identify it. Now, it's so weird how most people, they send me a piece of real estate. They say, Kris, you're going to love this house. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It's next to the bus station. It's close to the mall. It's got a Walmart around the corner. I'm like, I could care less about that. Give me the numbers and why are they selling? Because if they're not in a situation that requires them to get their money or to do some type of creative real estate deal with us, we won't be able to help them. You see, most investors go in and they deal with homeowners that want to sell. I just want to see how much I can get for this offer. I just want to find out, what would you pay me for what you gonna pay me for this house? Those are not the people that we're dealing with. We are dealing with people that have problems, okay? Now, how do we get to identifying these people's problems, right? And I love this geeky stuff. This is what I really enjoy doing. It's the mental part of this business. Now, we have to build rapport. How do we do that? Ask them about family. What is the number one thing people want to talk about in the whole world? Themselves. Talk about their family. Where do they work? Where are they from? Married, kids, all that stuff. That's how we build rapport. But the way we really dig into the problem, y'all, and to get them to open up to us, and I didn't create this stuff. This stuff is created by, I'm going to write them down, Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman. I don't know who these guys. These are super geeky psychologists, right? They created this thing called the consequence framework. The consequence framework, right? I need these people to tell me the problem. I needed them to get on board with me so I can start discussing how we're going to help them. And the way to do that is being able to identify what's really going on. The consequence framework, I got to help you out with this. I have to use it. I got to speak low because my wife is here. I have to use this all the time on my wife. So I love going out in the heat and walking around the neighborhood or walking down the street to the store. Right? I love the heat. I love the way it feels in my body. I love the way it gets me a little sweat. But my wife hates the heat. So I can't frame up the conversation and go, babe, you want to go out and walk with me to the store? You want to walk with me in this nice heat? We'll get some nice sun, a little burn together. I can't do that. How do I know? I've tried it dozens of times. It doesn't work. So what do I have to do? I have to frame up the consequence. I got to frame up what we're doing so I can get what I want out of her. I want her to walk with me down the street. So I've got to frame it up different. I have to frame it up differently, and you can use this same consequence framework for yourself. So if I lead with what my wife likes on her mind, babe, you want to get some ice cream? Walk with me down the street. You want to get your favorite ice cream? So I'm leading, or I'm framing up the different consequences in this whole relationship or this whole activity that we're doing, so I can get my wife to do what I want her to do, right? So I'm framing up what she wants. The consequence is ice cream, as opposed to the real consequence of what I want is walking in the heat. So, babe, get some ice cream, walk with your husband and get the ice cream. Cool, let's do it. Let's go down the street. So now I got what I want. I got my wife with me in the heat, walking. But what is she really thinking about? Getting that favorite vanilla ice cream. So the framework of how you present these things to people is going to be crucially important, y'all. You have to remember that, so you can't come in talking crazy stuff to homeowners, because you will offend them and then you won't get what you want. So the first thing, identifying the problem, and we lead down with the consequence framework. The next thing is going to be agitating that problem, okay? And what Larry Luigi used to say is we gently, empathetically, and with high levels of compassion, turn the knife. This is some great negotiating stuff. Hey, look, if you're enjoying this stuff, y'all, make sure you just download the Real Estate Negotiating Bible. It is the best book in the business for real estate investors to go out there and negotiate with homeowners. The link is right below, or you can get it right on Amazon. It is this book here. I wrote it because I couldn't find this stuff anywhere else. So go get the book, and it'll dig a lot deeper into this stuff. We're going to agitate that problem. Gently twist the knife. Once again, framing up the consequences. If you don't do this, if you don't do that, if you don't sell it, if you don't fix the roof, if you don't sell the property before what happened about the foreclosure? Or what about the taxes? They're behind on that. We're framing it up just to agitate the problems very gently, not to make them upset. We don't want people hating our guts. Like most people, they hate real estate investors already because they think we're these rich guys who walk around stealing houses, right? Everybody thinks that. I've never understood that. Slightly agitate. They can't afford the payment. They're 3 months behind. What are we going to do? This is the second step to the framework of negotiating your property at a discount. When we know what the problem is, slightly agitated if you don't do something about it. And the third step is we need to be the solution to the problem, okay? So after we know what's going on, all this mess that's going on with the problem, and we slightly agitated it, right? Well, Ms. Smith, I know the plumbing's been leaking under the house for quite a while. What's going to happen if we don't get that fixed? Or what do you think will happen over the long term? Slightly agitated, and we're doing this with love. We don't want to offend them. Then we get to position ourselves. This is the best part. We get to position ourselves. Well, Miss Smith, you know what? I can take care of all those problems. I can take care of the plumbing. I can bring the mortgage current. We can take over your payments. We can give you some cash in a week. We can close in 30 days. Oh, you need to close in 6 months. You need to live here for a few months before we close. All this stuff you've identified first, then you're the solution, okay? You can't be the solution. People, I don't understand, how do people make these offers and they have all these great deals and they don't even know what the problem is? I'm like, did you solve their problem? See, most investors they go into the property, they're like, I can close in 7 days. Well, Miss Smith needs to close in 45 days. Why are we even at the all cash closing a week offer? It makes no sense, right? And I wanted to do this video for you. I don't expect it to get a ton of views, but I know the person I'm talking to, the younger Kris Haskins. I did not know that all sellers don't want money. No, not all sellers want money right now. Some people who need to set a date, you need to close 6 months, boom, we'll write it up. Bam, you can just forget about this, because what people are looking for when they sell real estate to us, they're looking for a known in their lives, okay? Just because they have you in the property today doesn't mean that they're looking for cash right now. They may be looking for 6 months, 4 months. They may be looking for somebody to help them move. I have had to buy houses for other round up homies. I have bought real estate and moved people into another house just so I could buy that house that they lived in. Let me say that again. I have bought house B just to move the homeowner out of house A so they could get out and we could buy the house A. But the only way that you're going to get to these, as Greg Penio says, the only way you're going to get them in the boat so you can row where you want to go, you have to identify what it is they're going through. You can't just jump in and be able to, I'm saving the day, I'm going to get the seller. And a lot of investors they miss this, especially when they're dealing with distressed homeowners, which is what we deal with a lot anyway, and homeowners going into foreclosure. You got to know what's going on, y'all. Don't be making these offers. It makes no sense to make an offer. Now, when you position yourself to be the solution, you have answered all the problems. You've identified all the problems. Then you can say, I can do this. I can fix that. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, Miss Smith, it sounds like to me that we're going to be the good solution for you. That's when you position yourself as a person that can solve all the problems that they're having, and just by circumstances that it comes with a house. Okay, so we're not necessarily looking at the house. We're looking at the comfort level of the homeowner first, and then, oh yeah, by the way, I got this house that can come along with you solving all my problems. All right. So round up, if I poured into you today, you got to make sure you share this stuff. Share this information with other people, because I don't know why people think that they're in the real estate business. I mean, I have yet to buy a house from a house. Every house I've purchased has been from a human being. It's just how it works. Now, in the future, we may be buying houses from computers, maybe. I don't know. Not today. We haven't done that yet. But follow this framework here, and when you download the Real Estate Negotiating Bible, I'll get a little more deeper into that to help you understand and process. A great negotiation is nothing but transferring our beliefs over to the seller so they can get on a page with us. That's all. Now, are you going to close every one of them? Absolutely not. However, with the frameworks, it puts you at a much better situation to possibly close the deal. And we want to buy at a discount. All right. So like the content, share. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.